Joining me to break it all down are two sharp but very different voices. Ruthie Bloom, columnist and editor at JNS, and Nadav Tamir, executive director of J Street Israel and a former senior diplomat. Do you agree with this, Nadav? Do you think that the war that we're running right now is a right and okay war to be doing?
No. It's a political war. There is no goals that this military campaign could achieve. Of course, we could kill more people, but strategically, it doesn't give us anything. And what we really need to do is to stop the war, get the hostages back, and let diplomacy work in order to create an alternative to Hamas in Gaza, which is the approach that the Americans and the Arab countries are suggesting to us. And the only reason we don't accept it is because it will be problematic for the survival of this government.
Nadav, respond to that.
Well, if I'm considered left, so I'm not called to reserve anymore, even though I was an officer and fought in the Lebanon war. My son was in reserve duty until the ceasefire in Lebanon, and he will go back if Gaza will intensify. My son-in-law is going to reserves this week for 2 months. So I don't know where those numbers are coming from. The people that I know are serving. You see many of those people that were called anarchists by the government that are still, carrying most of the load for not only the war, but also for the civilians' efforts that were kept in a vacuum because of the government.
Isn't that very dangerous, Nadav, to have a prime minister who claims to be so close to the president, but to not really understand where we're heading or where the U.S. is heading with the Iran deal?
Absolutely. And I think that what Netanyahu needs to do is to support what Witkoff is trying to do. And I agree that it's very much like the JCPOA. But I even said back then that if someone would have told Trump that the JCPOA is yours or not Obama, he would celebrate it because he wanted to be the deal maker. The only reason why he left out of the deal was the pressure of Netanyahu and some of his backers in Washington, not because the deal was not good. The deal was working. Iran was actually delivering on what they promised during the deal. And when Trump left the deal, this is when Iran broke, and now they're a threshold country, and now they are in bed with Russia and China, who used to be part of the JCPOA, the superpowers plus Germany, and now they want to go back to it, and I think it's the right thing to do, and I hope that this time Netanyahu will be a team player and will not try to sabotage the deal.
Though in all fairness, Biden also removed a lot of the sanctions, which then gave Iran money over the last years in order to be able to continue their nuclear program. So not only did America pull out, but they also funded Iran.
No, I think that what Biden did was a realization that you cannot really pressure Iran just by American sanctions. You need an international, and it doesn't make sense. So he was trying to do all kinds of deals. He released many American prisoners thanks to this money and other things, and he was hoping to get back to negotiations, but it was under the Raisi regime in Iran that was not interested in it, that was very felt that the Americans betrayed them when Trump left the JCPOA. But now, with the Pezeshkian government, it's a totally different approach, and I think Trump has a real chance to go back to the parameters of the JCPOA. Of course, it has to be updated because the dates of the sunset clauses and all of that have to be adjusted. But I think that what you hear from Washington is the same kind of language that we had in the JCPOA. It's true that Trump is using, just like with the tariffs and with Canada and Greenland and Panama, he uses a lot of, and that's why he sent some aircraft carriers to the Middle East, and he gave weapons because he believed that could help him in the negotiations. But eventually, he does want the deal. I don't think we have the capabilities. Iran already have the enriched uranium. So even if we have the bunker busters and we hit Nantaz or Farchin or some of those sites, it's not enough. They're already beyond that point. The only thing we could achieve is to restrain and bring back some of their movement with enrichment and avoid the weaponization of the bomb. And that could be done only by negotiations or by a long period of the U.S. in Iran, like they did in Iraq. You cannot, with a surgical attack, destroy the Iranian nuclear program.
But couldn't Iran attack us during the period of negotiations?
Well, they tried. I don't think they can. We have better capabilities than them. According to international media, we have nuclear capabilities that they don't have. We have a second strike capability. So I don't think I actually don't think that the Iranians are irrational. I think they are very rational. They play the long game like you do in the bazaar or in the chess that they invented. But they're rational, and they know that Israel is stronger than them. I think a lot of their rhetoric against Israel is to justify, but the real goal is to keep the regime alive, and they feel under threat by majority of Sunnis in the Middle East who hate them, majority of Arabs and Turks who hate Persians, and this is the reason why they wanted the nuclear bomb, not because of Israel, and I don't think they will get into a fight with Israel. For full disclosure, I'm a graduate of Harvard. I did my master's at the Kennedy School of Government. Okay. And I watch all the world statistics. Harvard is a leading university in the world. With all the respect to DEI and all of that, they're still the leading institution in the world. I think that what Trump is doing is trying to weaponize anti-Semitic. There is anti-Semitism, of course, and there are many Jews who are concerned, but he uses it because he wants to go after the universities who are the elite of the liberals who think very differently than him. So he used anti-Semitism against what he called kind of the deep state, very similar to what the right is trying to do here with many of the institutions. So I don't buy that. There is a way to deal with anti-Semitism, and it's not the way Trump is doing it. I do believe that Larry Garber, the president of Harvard, knows and understands anti-Semitism. He's a Jew, and he's also very active in preparing the university to deal better with anti-Semitism. But I'm very proud that he stood his ground and is not succumbing to the pressure from Trump that has nothing to do with anti-Semitism.
Do you think that those students who are parading around in masks and, as Ruthie said, skipping class, do you think those students belong in the country, in the United States?
Well, free speech is still a value in the U.S. and hopefully here. Of course, if anyone uses violence, if anyone threatens other students, that's a different story, and the law should deal with them. And the universities were not there. They were not prepared. I think now they're much more prepared, and they did a lot of work since there. But to say that all of the students who demonstrated are either anti-Semites or brutal, people, it's not the reality.